you some questions and answers of NLE or NCLEX that might be helpful for you someday and someday and someday.
Oh, come on.
So for now, we will just focus on the legal and ethical nursing practice and it will be just 10 items. So without further ado, let's start. Number 1 question. A client is referred to a surgeon by the healthcare provider. After meeting the surgeon, the client decides to consult with a different surgeon about treatment options. The nurse supports the client's action utilizing which ethical principle? You can pause this video while thinking of an answer. So for number 1's answer, let's do the process of elimination. Let's eliminate first letter A. Beneficence. Because beneficence is an ethical principle to do good, and it applies when the nurse has a duty to help others by doing what is best for them. Another, let's eliminate letter B, veracity, because veracity refers to being truthful. Another is privacy. Privacy is a non-disclosure of the information by the healthcare team. So you are left with the answer of autonomy, which is the right answer. Autonomy is the right of the individual to take action for themselves. According to this question, the nurse supports the decision of the patient on consulting on a different surgeon. Wow. Now for number 2 question. A nurse forgets to administer a dose of a client's diuretic drug, and the client experiences an episode of pulmonary edema. The nurse should consider that this error constitutes negligence because the situation contains which element? So for this question, let's eliminate first letter A. A purposeful failure to perform a procedure would be an opposite of negligence, which is unintentional. The question implies an unintentional act of a nurse which result to negligence. So letter C and D does not fit the description in the situation in the question. So the answer is letter B, the unintentional failure to perform a healthcare procedure. Let's proceed to number 3. A client asks why a diagnostic test has been prescribed and the nurse replies, "I'm unsure, but we'll find out for you." When the nurse later returns and provides an explanation, the nurse is acting under which principle? By looking at the situation, let's eliminate first non-maleficence, or letter A, because non-maleficence is the duty to do no harm, and the situation doesn't imply protecting the client against harm. Also, let's eliminate letter B, the veracity. As I said a while ago, veracity refers to telling the truth. For example, not lying to a client about a serious prognosis. So you are left with these two, the beneficence and the fidelity. So by these two choices, let's eliminate beneficence. Why? Because beneficence means doing good, such as by implementing actions that benefit a client. So that leads us to the answer of fidelity. Fidelity means being faithful to agreements and promises. This nurse is acting on the client's behalf to obtain needed information and report it back to the client. So fidelity is the right answer. Did you get it right? Okay. So let's proceed to number 4. An individual falls and fractures a hip while walking down the street. A companion notices a nurse drive past without stopping to assist. The individual sues the nurse for negligence but fails to win a judgment. For which reason? So for this question, let's eliminate first letter B, because the nurse did not necessarily do what others would do in this situation. For letter C, although the nurse did not cause the client's injuries, it does not prevent the nurse from assisting in this kind of situation. And same as for letter D, although the nurse was off duty, the nurse would have assisted if motivated to do so. So the correct answer is letter A. To be guilty of negligence, the nurse must have a relationship with the client that involves a duty to provide care. The relationship is usually a component of employment. That is why, letter A, the nurse had no duty to the individual. For number 5 question, a client who takes warfarin is given aspirin for a headache. While visiting a neighbor who is a nurse, the client subsequently has a bleeding episode caused by interaction of these drugs. The legal nurse consultant interprets which necessary elements of malpractice are missing from this case. Select all that apply. For this question, there was no breach of duty because there was no official nurse-client relationship, which accompanies an employment situation. That is why letter A is eliminated. Also, there was injury experienced because of this event. The bleeding was caused by the interaction of the aspirin with the anticoagulant. So C and D are eliminated. So you are left with the answer of letter B and letter E. The duty owed and intent to cause harm or injury. For number 6 question, a client with cancer has decided to continue further treatment. Although the nurse would like the client to continue treatment, the nurse recognizes the client is competent and supports the client decision using which ethical principle? So in this question, let's eliminate first letter A, justice. Because justice refers to fairness. Also, let's eliminate fidelity because fidelity refers to trust and loyalty. Same as confidentiality, it also refers to the right to privacy of personal health information. That is why the correct answer is autonomy, which refers to the right to make one's own decisions, which is the principle supported in this situation. So let's proceed to number 7. The healthcare provider prescribes a medication in a dose that is considered toxic. The nurse administers the medication to the client, who later suffers a cardiac arrest and dies. What consequently can the nurse expect from this situation? SATA. On this question, the hospital can be sued as a responsible employing agency, but the healthcare provider and the nurse can also be charged with negligence. So letter B is eliminated. Terminating the healthcare provider and nurse from employment would not stop a lawsuit charging negligence for employee actions that have already taken place. So letter C is eliminated. Prescribing and administering incorrect doses are not considered events that routinely happen to a reasonable person. So letter D is eliminated. That is why the correct answer is letter A and letter E. Because healthcare providers who prescribes incorrect dosage of medication are liable for their errors. The nurse is open to a charge of negligence for failing to verify and question the incorrect doses. So let's proceed to number 8 question. A nurse and teacher are discussing legal issues related to the practice of their professions. The teacher asks about the functions of Nurse Practice Act or NPA. The nurse should include which element in a response. Select all that apply. So on this question, let's eliminate first letter A. Because the Board of Nursing approves school to operate but does not accredit them. Let us also eliminate letter B. Because the Board of Nursing does not enforce the ethical standards. Also, an NPA has no role in setting liability assurance rates for nurses. That is why letter E is eliminated. Now you are left with letter C and letter D, which is the correct answer. An NPA serves to protect the public by setting minimum qualification for nursing in relation to skills and competencies. One way it fulfills responsibility to protect the public is by defining the scope of nursing practice in that state or province. So for number 9 question, a staff nurse concerned about maintaining client confidentiality would take which action while carrying out assigned duties? So for this question, let's eliminate first letter A. because staff should only access information about clients currently assigned to their care. They should not access information about other clients on the unit not assigned to them. Let's also eliminate letter B, because client information should not be shared with nurses who are not currently working with the client. And family members would need approval from the client and the healthcare provider prior to reviewing a medical record. So letter C is eliminated. The correct answer is letter D. Client confidentiality is maintained when the nurse shares client information only with those currently involved in the plan of care. Now let's proceed to the last number 10. The nurse working in an acute care environment would utilize which strategies to reduce the risk of malpractice litigation? SATA. So for this question, let's eliminate first letter A, because discussing errors in details with the client and family does not reduce the risk of a malpractice claim. Also, incident reports are filed with agency but do not decrease the risk of malpractice litigation, so let's eliminate letter B. The nurse should offer opinions at any time as this is not part of therapeutic communication. That's why letter D is eliminated. And you are left with letter C and letter E, which is the correct answer. Maintaining expertise in practice by maintaining up-to-date knowledge and skills aids in reducing the risk of malpractice claims by fostering continuous competence in practice. Unsafe staffing levels can result in a higher incidence rate of errors, which could later lead to charges of malpractice. So that is the answer. Now that is all for today, and I hope that you learned something on this video. And thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to push that subscribe button. I love you so much. Bye!